We're going to wait and see if this animal allows us to actually get some sexing pointers and see if it's a male or female. But while we wait for her to, or him to expose itself, I believe David has got a beautiful animal to show you.
Welcome. What? You're trying to get hold of a kudu here, and this is the greater kudu, which we do not have in the Masai Mara. And look at that beautiful antelope there, looking at us. Good morning, gal. See the twitch on the ear there. For the kudus, hearing is very, very paramount for them in the bushes. They're always found in habitats that are very thick, like where you can see it. So they may not see very, very well. They see well, but I would say hearing to them is very, very important because they do not want to miss any sound. Any click that goes in the bush to them makes a huge difference. And this is the greater kudu. We have another species called the lesser kudu, which is not found here. And apparently in Kenya we got both species, the greater and the lesser kudu. And she got her calf not very far from where she is, to the left. And just notice how they blend in very, very well there. David just spotted this. If you not have known there were antelopes here, you could easily just come and pass. Yeah, see, that's like some agama, they're going up. It's like a tree agama there. Well, good job there spotting that, David. So blends in there very, very well. Brent still got the Ellis.
Well, everyone, look at this. We've just had her coming and taking a closer look. Now, I've given it away because I was trying to just get the pointers. Look behind the front legs there. Very, very swollen mammary glands. So potentially got a little youngster as well. So this is a female. And if we also look at the head, you can see this very angular skull, almost going in by where you would think the temples are. That very indicative of a female. Male's very rounded skull, and a lot more sort of robust, if I can say that. And then obviously you do get to see the fifth leg of the males quite regularly, especially if a vehicle is around or if there's any other bulls. It's a bodily organ that is a dead giveaway with the males, especially when there's others around. And she came and said hello to us quite nicely there, and right next to us. A very relaxed female this is, I believe, with a calf somewhere in the area. So it seems like a small breeding herd this is. I've seen at least 3 elephants, but it could be more in the greater area that we are in. And she's moving off a little bit through the bushes there, starting to use her ears to cool off. Sunflower, it's not really a problem with elephants, whether you make eye contact or not, especially when you're in a vehicle. And it goes the same with leopard and lion. On a vehicle, they're sort of seeing this as one whole unit. So it's only if I stand up in the vehicle that they sort of see me as an individual. Whereas if I'm sitting down and we're all part of the vehicle and inside it, I believe that they generally see it as one unit. It's when you're on foot With elephants, not particularly a problem if you look at them or not, but it's your body language, and if you turn your head away from them or not, it all depends. Sometimes you need to make yourself a little bit subordinate for the elephants, that you're not a threat. For instance, if there's a big breeding herd starting to come walking past you, you maybe just want to go down on your haunches near to some a bush or a nice thick tree stump or something like that, just so that you are making yourself low, you're not a threat to the group, and that's more important with elephants than about eye contact. With leopards and lions, there becomes a little bit more intricate with eye contact, especially with lions. You need to maintain as much eye contact as possible. You never turn your head to a lion. I know that there's been a lot of things on social media about sort of captive bred lions attacking people and so on, and it is always related to eye contact and turning their head away from the animal. As soon as you turn your back on a lion, and potentially a leopard as well, it's like pulling a little piece of string for a kitty cat. It instinctively wants to jump and bite. So, and you don't want to be jumped on and bitten by a lion, because that first bite is normally the one that kills you. So, as these elephants move off through the brush, I think we're going to continue on the search for the lions, where the bushwalk team will also coming to help us find some clues, and let's go and see what clues they have found.
Well, because it's been a cold morning, we think we might have misinterpreted where the lions are. We think they might be a little bit further to the west. So we've come to the west and we've started walking around. We haven't found any tracks yet, but we tracked a porcupine back to the old hyena den off from Vubu Road, and this porcupine's been doing some serious housekeeping. So, of course, when you sometimes share a home with hyenas, you get to remove all sorts of things out of the hole. Looks like either an adult Inyala or possibly female kudu, young one. But I'd say an adult Inyala. We've got what looks to be a bit of Inyala skin. We've got the scapula of a kudu, just judging from the size. And so you can see that the porcupine's busy been kicking all this stuff out of here. Now, where did it go? Now, you should be very happy, because I'm braving. As soon as I sit near here, look at this. Oh, that's not a flea. But the fleas start leaping onto my legs. Now, if there was hyenas here, my legs would get covered in fleas very quickly. But I pulled this one out a little bit earlier. But you can see all the porcupine, the young porcupine quills that are stuck in the ground are there. And you can see there's a flat area down here where the porcupine was actually having a little snooze at the entrance. Now, you can see it disappears quite deep there, and there are lots and lots of porcupine quills sticking out of the ground. There's another one. Careful of them, we might get charged by a porcupig. So here we go, you can see that. So not all porcupine quills are those hard, big ones that we find. Some of the quills on the edges are soft and almost like hair, because that's basically what quills are. They're modified hair follicles. Look at that. So this one's almost exactly like hair. But this porcupine has been cleaning up all the hyena's rubbish. Now, when I was younger, I might take a torch and crawl down there to see if I could see it. Fortunately, I've got older and wiser and don't tend to dive headfirst into holes anymore. Actually, it wasn't that long ago that I did, though. YouTube viewer, yes, the hyenas can very, very, very easily come back here. That's one of the reasons we came to check. The hyenas will often share. What's that one? Their buffalo horn. The hyenas will often share their dens with porcupines. And I say, look at that. Look at that. They've split. It's a chew toy for little hyenas, an old chew toy. But I mean, look here, we've got a scapula, a skull, a piece of skin, and a very cool buffalo horn. I might actually take this one back to the tent. It's not often you get to see a horn like that. Okay, the fleas are eating me. There's one there. 1, 2, 3, 4 fleas. Let's move away from here. Now, porcupine, of course, have those massive quills, not these ones, as defense. But Tiffany, yes, any animal will bite if it's in an extreme situation. So have a look at the other entrance to this den, which is not as busy, but it has been used. You can see by porcupines again. You can see the trucks going in here. Oh, hello moth. But not nearly as busy as that other entrance. This one looks a lot harder to get into. It'll be a bit smaller to go down this one. Now, one of the reasons we're really hoping that the lions give us another call, because in absence of sign, tracks, etc., it can be very difficult to find. But fortunately, we've still got about an hour. So I think we've checked through here. We haven't found any tracks, so we might go check the last tracks back towards Sandy Patch, where Rolf had the last tracks. I'm not giving up. I am going to find a big cat before the end of my last walk. Okay, let's send you back to David, who's got something quenching its thirst.
Yeah, don't give up, and you never say never until you are out of the wilderness and back in the camp. And we have come to this nice water pan here and just found out that huge male waterbuck there. Look at the rack of the horns of that guy. Look at that profile, standing around. Look at me. Female trying to, is it 2 females? Getting close to the boy. Let's see what he does, or what they're thinking here. A couple of them. I'm not sure they're all after this male, or the male is trying to display, run around and control. The one in the middle there is definitely a young calf. Come on, what are we up to? There's something the female is after which the male doesn't want to be done, and she tries to dash forward, and the male is trying to turn her backwards. So that male is trying to turn the female to the right. I do not know for what reason, and not sure if they want to come have a drink in that pan there, but this male is up to something. Look at his behavior, eh? Waterbacks are very dependent on water, and I see no reason why this male will not let them come and have a drink. I'm not sure they're drinking shifts, the impalas first, then the waterbacks. Yes, but you can see now the waterback is drinking on the other side. That's the water, that's the pan we can't see very well, but it has water. But I do not know why the male was a bit aggressive to the females when they're coming for a drink, eh? He's trying to be a bit controlling here and pushing all the females in one side and away from the water. But yes, if we go back to the impalas, David, there, you see how peaceful these particular guys are, comparing them to the waterbacks. And this one's had their drink, and they're all young boys. Is a nice small bachelor herd. To the left is one big one there, but most of them look to be of more or less the same age group, maybe separated by a few months. YouTube viewer, you'd like to know whether the ratting will make the impalas more aggressive to humans. Not really. Not really. I mean, we can challenge them. I mean, when they see us outside the castle, when we do the bushwalks, they'll tend either to back off or respect our space as much as we also respect them. But, yeah, YouTube viewer, I do not think ratting will make them, fear or become aggressive to man. What would happen, as I was saying earlier, to me, that's the time they become more vulnerable to the predators and more so the leopards, because in that high levels of testosterone hormones in them, they sometimes do not see things in the right manner. They're just thinking of mating and getting all the females to their territories, and they don't consider very, very well of their safety. Those two, they're grooming. How nice is that for those two young boys there, eh? It's your turn, it's my turn. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. Isn't that sweet, Debbie? See how synchronous that is? Haha. You do it, I do it. Give it to me, I give it to you. That's wonderful, eh? It's the neck, kind of a neck rub. Jared Buddy, your question is, do the nyalas and the waterbucks have a rutting season? I would say the waterbucks have a rutting seasons. Nyalas, we do not have them in East Africa. David, would you know if the nyalas have a rutting season? David thinks they do not have rutting season, but I might have gathered the waterbucks have a rutting season, but not the nyalas that we do not have in East Africa. Hope that helps to answer your question there. You see those two young boys there? They can smell some high hormones in the air, and they know the next 2 years they'll also be going for a fight to try to establish a territory for controlling or getting mating rights for females. And that's why you see them, or you are seeing them having a little spat on each other, not an actual fight there. The big fully grown ones are the ones, 3-4 years, that will go for each other to get the females in their territories. Come on, give us another show. See how you'll be doing the next 1 year, 2 years when you get a bit older. The big one should be training them how to do it, but they'll always be watching what the older ones do. And I'm sure they're all smelling rutting in the air. They're smelling lots of love in the air, and they know it just doesn't come easily. Look at that. There they go. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's more of a play fight sparring, and they know sooner or later it will be them in actual action going for each other. Still nice grooming going on there between those two. Yeah. The viewers would like to know if I've ever tasted an impala meat. Where I come from in Kenya, when we were small little boys, and boys will be boys, we used to go with our dogs and try and chase little jackrabbits or the small little scrub hares or the bunnies. But for these guys, what we used to do when we were boys in the village I come from, we would make some snare cables. It wasn't very good. Today I don't think I would want to do that. But again, as I said, boys being boys, would make some snare cables and we'll wait for them to go in. And we would stand somewhere, and if we don't get a catch after 2 days, we'd go round up the impalas near our village and push them towards the snares. And as they would struggle to free themselves, would be out there cheering, and deciding, I am going to take the neck, I am going to take the leg, I'm going to do the fillet. And yes, I've had lots of impala meat, and those days it used to taste very good. We could do some nice barbecue, what they call here bray, and it's many years since they did that. And Ralph, he's still on the move.
Well, everyone, we're just still trying to follow up on these lion tracks and calls and so on. So I think the bushwalk team are also heading around in the area. Now it's interesting to note what David was talking about, and there was a couple of questions there about, do animals ever get aggressive towards humans when they're rutting? Well, I've had a few different scenarios with impala and so on, but there was one thing with animals during breeding season or rutting that really has sort of hit home to me, and quite shockingly really, because two friends of mine in Namibia, very close friends of mine, we surf all the time together. There's one of the largest mainland seal colonies in the world in Namibia at a place called Cape Cross. It's heading up into the Skeleton Coast, and there's an absolutely brilliant left-hand point break onto reef break. It is an absolutely amazing wave. It's always breaking there, and if there's a little bit of swell, it's even better, and it's just a perfect wave. But you've also got all of these seals there, and at times over 200,000 of them. So, and those males, they're not always there, but obviously in the breeding season they all come back so that they can do their thing, and they have fed up at that time, and so they're normally pretty close to about 200 kilograms each, the big bulls. So obviously you've got all of these seals, but we surf there quite a lot, in amongst the seals, never had a problem. We don't get great white sharks there either. It's mostly just bronze whalers. There is the odd orca that comes past. So it's one of those cases of you're surfing in amongst the seals, but they just sort of stay out of your way and you stay out of theirs, and anyway, it was fun. So two friends of mine went surfing on one particular day, and it was during breeding season. Now they were paddled out, they caught a couple of waves, and they were paddling out again, and a big bull Cape fur seal came over and grabbed one of the guys by the head and pulled him into the water. So the other guy swam over, paddled over, and started to try and help this guy while it was pulling him by the head, and he started punching it, and anyway, between the two of them, it attacked both of them. It took them half an hour to get back to the beach and away from this bull seal who wouldn't leave them alone. And the one guy's ear was bitten off, and between them they had about, they had massive cuts and bite marks, etc. They had to rush back to Walvis Bay Hospital, and between them they had over 150 stitches. So that was just one of the indications that in rutting season, breeding season, males can get quite seriously aggressive, almost stupidly aggressive towards anything that's coming into their territorial zone, because normally you can surf there out of breeding season, even if there are those big bulls around, and they swim away from you, they're scared of you. Whereas in that particular time, it was obviously such heightened aggression towards other males and anything coming into his little patch or his turf that he was going to attack it. And those guys felt the brunt of it. And needless to say, they haven't surfed there again. So, and I just made the decision from then on not to surf there during breeding season. But so we do need to sometimes just respect the animal's space, and realize that there might be dangers involved as well. Project Alpha, yes, I do definitely agree with you, saying that those fur seals are like sea bears. They the males are. The females, they're almost like a third of the size of those big bulls, and it's incredible at that Cape Cross seal colony how many animals actually get squashed by those bulls when they are fighting with each other. They go, and if there's any little babies around and that, they just get flattened. So yeah, it's incredible to watch. Well, Sharon, yes, wow. Imagine if human males acted like that. Well, I think sometimes we do, in maybe not in that savage kind of way anymore directly, but the wars and the crazy things that are happening around the world, I would say we're probably worse than that, wouldn't you? I think some of the things that we do as humans and as man, especially towards each other, is quite disgusting, really. Anyway, let's keep it on a happy note. And those two guys that got attacked by the seal, it was the first known recorded attack of a seal on humans, and the only. Yeah, one guy losing his ear, and so we always know who he is. We can see him from afar with one ear, and he's still very humorous about it. But yeah, don't mess with the seal, especially in the water. Yes, well, speaking of injuries and all of that, let's see what David's been able to find, and I hope he's still got his both ears.
You would imagine missing an ear. I don't know how you'd look. Like, number one, I would say you'd look deformed without an ear. And I do not know what body part I would want to lose if I'm given a choice. Maybe a toe. David, what would you like to lose of your body parts? If you had to lose one, and you have to, like, decide which one. Which one? Ah, right. So David says finger. Well, not very different from what I said. I said a toe, because if I put on my shoes, nobody will notice I am missing a toe. Well, we have come back to the block where David thinks Tandy will always roam and, do her thingy. And we're still hoping before we go back for breakfast, she might give us a view. And we are not giving up also. And second time we were here early in the morning, like 2 hours ago, and we have thought we'll swing by here and find out if we are lucky. And not sure, because we have now become the new coalition of boys here. That's why Tandy may not want to see us, but hopefully she can avail herself to us and we have a great view of her cub. Djuma, your question is, which leopards have I seen so far? I have seen Shidulu. I was told Shidulu means a termite mound. I could be wrong. I also saw the young chief Hosanna. And while with James Henry, we saw Tandy and her cub. So we are talking of 4 or 3.5. That's so good. The cab to me was very exciting, and especially when you saw them drinking water. Oh, we're coming to a nice herd of elephants. I hope, Djuma, you have been following and enjoying seeing the leopards here. David, you want to push forward a little bit? We've come to a nice herd of ellies here. I hope, Djuma, you also enjoy seeing and I'll tell you, these are my first ellies on a solo drive. Feels exciting. I agree, the Djuma elephants could be my favorite ones from now going forward. It's a very big cow there. Very relaxed. Good morning, Mama. How are you doing, beautiful girl? And you see to the right of it is the calf there. Most likely that could be the mother. Very good framing there, David. Joldy, you're asking, do elephants see in color like humans? Not sure about that. What I know, they see in dark and light shades. Colors, David, what do you think? I do. David also thinks not very sure. Unlike lions or some cats that will see in color, baboons definitely will, but I doubt ellies will see in color, Joldy, like human beings. But I'll find out and do a bit of research, and I will let you know. But what I know for a fact, especially at night, they can tell, dark from light, and they'll pick different shades of, dark animals or dark people or dark. I would say elephants have good vision. I would say for me they have good vision. From what I've found out in the years I've been in the bush, elephants got good vision. They also got very good hearing, sense of hearing is also very, very efficient. But they'll not see as well like the giraffes, who will see a long, long, long way. So I would say elephants. And again, it depends on what you'd call good and bad. And so long as they can see their way around, they know where to go to drink, they know how to avoid holes, how to avoid trees, how to spot predators which may want to come for their young calves. I would say it depends on what you mean by saying they got good vision or bad vision. I would say for me they have good, and so long as their vision is good for them to see their way around, I would say it should be fine. We'll move forward a little bit and see whether we can catch up with them. And it's a nice little herd of ellies here. Excuse me. And you notice when you approach them, you'll always get to them very slowly. No, you're asking, should maybe an elephant lose its ear? Is that the question Nora is asking? I wouldn't think so, because once in a while you have seen their ears being torn or being cut either by thorns or something like that. They're quite heavy. Their ears, but I think because they got wide feet, their balance would keep the same. I don't think that could affect them so much. I think the balance would remain the same. And if you look on the circumference, like the one trying to cross the road there, you'll see they got very huge feet, and that's what maintains their whole body balance. And you can see the diameter there, the circumference of that foot. If you look at it carefully, it would be very good to just hold that body frame in right space. What would worry me is the big males with the big tusk, when they would lose one tusk, which maybe they've been carrying for 20, 30, 40 years. That could give them a little angered walk in their lives. But ears, I highly doubt that would affect the balance. Sorry, Anna Marie would like to know what? Sorry? Anna Marie, how are you today? And you'd like to know if smell is the best sense elephants have. I would want to agree with you. Because every other minute you'll see ellies, if they don't hear something very well by pulling their ears out, you'll get the trunk will always be up, and I'm sure the trunk is an elongated nose. You'll always see them moving it up and down and changing angles, changing directions. I would say yes, Anne-Marie, the smell is a great sense they have of all their senses. David, you see that elephant on the left there that's flapping its ear? I'm not sure that's an infection or that's normal color on it. You see the edge of it is all pink. Let's see if we're going to open the ear again. I thought that was rather unusual. I haven't seen that in elephants. See that? On the very edge of it. It should be having lots of blood vessels there. I'm sure you know the elephant ears are like the car radiators where the blood cooling is done. But there's a bit of pink on the edge. And as we'll try and find out what could be happening there. And the bushwalk are still trucking.
Okay, so we're hot on the trail of the lions now. We found some tracks out in the block here. We've also found that they had a bit of success last night. And they've caught an impala. And all we can see is one leg. Oh, 2 feet. Oh, I don't want to touch the jawbone because there's lots of ants on it. There's a scapula, shoulder blade, and the bottom jaw. That is all that is left of what I assume to be a male impala, just judging by the size of the bottom jaw. So we hopefully, well, see, the thing is, an impala, not much for a pride of lions that size. You can see, here we go. The tracks heading this direction. Now, this looks like it was quite early last night, so they might have carried on hunting. We're just picking up half a track on these open patches of land here. So hopefully we're getting close to the lions. There we go, going to the east. Could be snoozing in a thicket close by. Indeed, Gillian, that impala is resting in pieces. We just want to check whenever we find a little bit of open ground here. There we go. Now, as I was saying, an impala, oops, sorry, Liam got caught on a tree there, is not a big meal for these lions. I mean, there we go, that's a lion track, believe it or not. Going that way. Now, our heads are on swivels at the moment. They could be sleeping under any of these shady trees. And I'm just trying to wait to see, almost expecting to see a whole bunch of heads popping out of the bush. Okay, well, we're going to concentrate on finding us some kitties. We're running out of time. So while we do that, I'll send you back to David and the elephants.
Closely looking at the ellies here, I'm trying to think. I'll find out from my fellow presenters and especially James. They look more rounded to me than the elephants in East Africa. I do not know whether that's true. They look more rounded, and the ones in Kenya are more angular. David, you've been to Kenya. Would you want to agree with me? What do you think? Well, my new coalition friend hasn't noticed that, but I've been sitting here because these are my first ellies that I'm seeing in Djuma, and they look more rounded than the ones we have in Kenya. And especially, the back morphology is totally different. And this is the same elephant I was saying earlier. It has on the edge very pink ears on the inner side of, on the edge of the inner side of the ears, which is not something I've seen before. I'm not sure if that could be an infection of a kind, a fungal infection, or it could be genetical. Some of these conditions are just passed on the genes. Debbie, you'd like to know if there's a difference in the animal behavior in Kenya or between Kenya and South Africa. For the big guys, for the big animals, I've been seeing the buffaloes, the elephants, the zebras, I would say the wildebeest, I would say zero, no difference. But for the leopards, huge difference. Excuse me. huge difference in the sense that the other day we were watching Hosanna and it was about 20 feet from that beautiful cat. In Kenya, I would say that is practically impossible. A leopard could be about 400, 500 yards away from where you are. And you try to get close, either it will come for you or it will take off. So for the leopards here, I've seen a totally different ball game where the animal behavior, it's very, very different. And the kind of cars we drive here, I mean, if you look as I bend that way, I can easily get to the ground. This is not possible in Kenya. This car doesn't have a door. I'm not sure to have a safety belt, I haven't found out. But James, when we were watching Hosanna, kept telling me, David, relax. And that cat, we have known it since it was this big. And the leopard or Hosanna will not do anything to you. Well, that's one behavior I haven't seen in Kenya. And we have so many cases in Kenya of leopards, for example, bringing people down. And also the same case to lions. I mean, with the Nukuhuma pride, for example, you saw yesterday, James would get so close. Lions in Kenya, they'll behave a little differently. If they don't take off, you'll see them snarling and, putting up faces, telling you don't get so close. That, I would say, would be the big difference of animal behavior between Kenya and South Africa. Still enjoying our Ellis, and Debbie, let's get a little closer to them. Richard, you'd like to know for how many years elephants live for? I would say elephants are pretty close to human beings, and they got an average of 65 years. So I would say anything between 60 to 70 is the lifespan of elephants. And that would be the case for both the savanna elephants and the forest elephants. So give or take anything between 60 to 70 years. That's the longevity or the time elephants live for. See, they'll always pause and listen and pick any sound. And that's why you see we'll stop at a distance, make sure we don't get so close. And very clever, just see how they instinctively put the calf between them. Very intelligent animals. Nothing, we're not, of any concern to them, but not taking any chances. Elephants are very, very good mothers. And they do the best they can to make sure their calves are safe. Elephants always doing something, always engaging you. No one time they'll go flat like the lions, but Ralph is still combing the bushes.
Well, yes, everyone, we are searching, persevering, and just carrying on the search for any of the cats or anything exciting. But just going along with the lines with what David was saying there about elephants being quite similar to humans. Now, yes, there's a couple of things that makes them quite similar to humans, and I would say, obviously, one of the things being very intelligence and being capable of emotion. Also having a real connection to the ones that have passed on. So where they go to their sort of skeletal or remains of other elephants, there is a real connection there. There's not just a sniffing of bones. It's a real connection, and I believe a real thought about the one that has passed on. Their eyesight is very similar to humans. They can see pretty much the same distance that we can. So yes, I think elephants, true, almost a reflection of us as humans. Wonderful to think along those lines. And that's what I often think, and that's why I think very often, especially when you when you are in their close personal space, you feel a very close bond with elephants. The more you are with them, the closer you feel to them. And obviously the closer you are and the more tighter situations that you have with them, the bond then just increases. And yes, they are also very dangerous, or potentially very dangerous, and very similar to us as well, as human beings. And another thing, just going on to another topic. Oh, hello. Okay, so sorry, I'm changing subjects here now, but that's not anything important. Okay, I think back to Dave. He's got a little elephant to show you.
Yes, Ralph, it's good to change the subject. We are still with our sighting. We are not leaving these elephants, and the little one there is just doing a little stretch, a little walk on the road and doing a bit of dust bathing, and just not sure it want to cool off or it would want to suffocate any parasites or any mites or ticks on its body. It's not eating, it's just picking sticks and just playing on the road. Could be a young male, and males or boys, being boys, pretty youngster there. And just standing in the middle of the road right there, when all the adults have given us way, this one have chosen to stay in the middle, like, David, you are not going for your breakfast. And the other David is just laughing. What happens, David, if he doesn't move? Well, we might have to look for some berries and stuff like that to feed on in the bush if she stays put on the road. Now she's eating, but you see her whole body is in the middle of the road, and not doing it the other way. I'm not sure there's an intentional way of we also have the right of being where we are. Yes, Denise, this is a very, very cute youngster here. I agree with you, Denise. That's a cute one. I might have mentioned this before, but ellies are my favorite animals to watch. And as I was saying earlier, they rarely have any flat moments. Feeding, flapping their ears, moving their tails, shaking their bodies, looking at you, sniffing you, giving you back shots like that one, to give you the head shots too. I'm not sure why he's stuck on the road. Of course, it's more clear he can see where it's going, but he should at one point know we also need to eat and try and get home. We'll just pull forward just by 2 meters or 5 meters and see if we can see the mother and find out if there's any communication between it and the mother. Brent has so much pressure. He's going for a long break. But before he does that, Ralph found elephants. The David boys have found elephants. Brent has to get elephants in under 15 minutes.
Well, we're trying. We're on the tracks, but unfortunately the tracks are not going in a good direction. They are busy on their way towards, there we go. They're on their way towards the boundary. So we're not stopping to look at tracks at the moment. Sorry, Vim. We're on a mission. Sorry? We've got to prove that the track's there. We're not actually making stuff up. We're not. That's one thing I don't do, is make up nonsense. That's why I like live. You can't hide. Okay. Still here. But the boundary is just up ahead of Herbie now. This is a long and old discussion, Tori. Is there a difference between a Cape and Barbary lion? So historically there are many subspecies of lions, and a Cape lion, a Barbary lion, a Kalahari lion, and a Botswanan lion, and a Zimbabwean lion. They're all the same lions. In certain areas, you have, oh dear, in certain areas, you have different sort of regional variations. So southern Tanzania, for example, the males don't have a lot of big manes, whereas Mara, Kalahari, they've got really impressive manes. Well, we're on the boundary. But genetically, no difference between a Cape lion and a Barbary lion. One's just got, well, Cape lion and Barbary lions are said to have much bigger manes, hair all the way down the bellies, but you still see it in certain Kalahari lions. Even old hairy belly Matimba had mane all the way down. So no, it's just sort of the same as people. Some people are tall, some people have hair, some people go bald. It's a similar story to that. But in the old days, everyone liked to name something after themselves in the scientific community. So you got a lot of created species. It's still done today. Livingston's eland versus a Cape eland, and genetically, it's an eland. Oh dear. I'm even walking on the wrong side of the road. Thanks, Anna Marie. Anna Marie says, "Go, Brent." We're trying, but it's not looking too positive at the moment. As I say, I think they might be in Sibambili. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, you still got tracks, Herb? Oh, there they are, there on the other side. Well, at least they've gone to the right side of the road. Okay, we're going to keep moving at high speed to try to find you a lion before the end of safari. And let's send you back to David and the Ellies.
Right, you better move at high speed and see if the luck will come. And our Ellies here are still showing lots of action, lots of play, lots of movement. And I want, David, we concentrate on that big female cow there, that cow to the right there, because just found out right below the tail, it was also a little bit bloody. I haven't seen that before. And the same one, if you look carefully, below the tail on the harness there, it's a bit bloody and some like blood was drilling out. I do not know for what reason. So just picked up that after I saw her again with the pink ears on the inside. She's having features I haven't seen before. I'll just sneak forward another 2 meters, Davey. She's having features I haven't seen before with other Ellies anywhere in Africa. Let's see what the magic David can get if he, see if carefully, if you look, a bit of bloody below the tail there, if you see that carefully. And he just pooped a few minutes ago, but then I don't know the connection between that and the blood which we had not seen before. But if you see along that line coming down, it's all little reddish, and that's sign of blood to me. Could be an infection she could be having in the tummy there. That should happen. I wouldn't know what kind of disease she may be having, but yeah, it's all bloody there and more below the tail, right to the harness. And if you look at the ears now, David, you see the pink there. I'm not sure this could be a fungal infection. I haven't seen another Ellie like that. You can see all the blood vessels there doing all what they're meant to be. Of course, spreading the ears out to cool off, and all the blood would be there to be cooled. But then that looks like a skin condition of a kind. Could be fungal, it could be anything. Dave, what do you think? I mean, have you seen that before? Yeah, Dave have been in this wilderness a couple of years, and he hasn't seen even this particular elephant or any other with this kind of condition. I'm sure when I go back to camp, I'll talk to my colleagues and find out. Well, Brent has something to tell us.
I'm sulking. Hasana walked off the property. The lions have left us. So it doesn't matter how fast we walk, we can't walk there yet. Of course, we're always working at expanding our traverse, and hopefully in the near future there's going to be more traverse. But for now, the lions are visiting the west, and I'm going to say bye, lions, and I'm going to start heading back towards the Squeaky Pig, go have some breakfast, and then drive to Johannesburg with Rebecca. We tried. We really tried this morning. Unfortunately, all the tracks we followed, none of them stayed on the property. But that is how it goes out here in the African bush on a live safari. You literally never know what could happen. Who knows? A lion might jump on my back from behind. Highly unlikely. Yes, Tim. Tim, maybe we'll have some luck with an antlion. That's not funny, Tim. I'm not looking for antlions. I am despondent now. I'm broken after all the tracking this morning. But that's, as I say, that's how it goes. And of course, as I said, we're always working on expanding our traverse, and hopefully in the near future we will be able to go everywhere. But till then, bye, lions. Now, we're going to we're not going to keep tracking. We're going to head back towards the Squeaky Pig. While we do that, let's go see what Ralph is up to next.
Well, it hasn't been an amazingly successful morning this morning, and sometimes that's just the way that it turns out. The days when you have the most tracks and the freshest of them all, well, it just can be frustrating like that sometimes, but that's not to say that we're not going to find a last-minute leopard. We did smell some popcorn just now, so we got all excited. But then, well, we still haven't seen one. So we're just keeping our eyes peeled, keeping positive that we're going to find something, and just keeping on the trail of these animals. But we have gone around in circles a couple of times, and I'm sure these leopards are lying up in the grass here, laughing at me as I drive past them, because I'm pretty sure we've driven past at least one, if not 2 or 3 leopards this morning alone, because we were so close on the tracks. But they could just be in the grass there, oops, they go down, and you drive right past, eh? If a leopard doesn't want to be seen, he won't be. And yeah, I know elephants have got a sense of humor. I'm starting to think the same of leopard as well. They're having a laugh, aren't you? Come on, show yourselves, leopards. But yeah, so we're heading back now towards quarantine once again, and this is where there's been so much activity since Hukumuri, Shudulu, Tingana. So the potential is just so big to see a leopard around here. Past a nice big termite mound with a big aardvark burrow in it, also very quiet. All the hyena dens are quiet as well. We keep popping in and just checking if there's any new activity, but nothing as yet. And Seb just pointed out to me a hyena den that was active in about 2010, 2011. So we've got from that time all that way back, all that information where the hyenas have denned before, but at present it seems they're all inactive. continue through here, see if we find anything on quarantine. But what I'm also interested in is how David has found his first elephant experience in Djuma.
That, I would say, to me, will be my biggest highlight. Having spotted Ellies in Djuma on a solo drive, and for this drive is something I'll be thinking of the whole day. That was very exciting. What do you think, Dave? I have every reason now to go to camp and get some brunch. I'm justified, and I'm like the chef. I need 2 plates of lots of food. I've spotted a nice herd of elephants, and we've seen what how playful they were, and comparing them to the elephants in Kenya. What I thought here, they're more rounded than the ones in Kenya, which I think they are more angular in Kenya. As much as David wasn't sure whether he has looked at them carefully, but I'll find out also from my other team players if that is true. Sharon, how do we say elephant in Swahili? And it has 2 names. I'll give you a choice of 2 and you can pick one. The first one is Tembo, T-E-M-B-O, Tembo. And the second one is Ndovu, N-D-O-V-U. So Tembo, Sharon, or Ndovu. You have a choice of 2. But just to let you know, Tembo also means booze, also means alcohol. So I don't know whether you drink or not, but Tembo is an elephant. But Swahili is a very rich language. You could have one word, just like in Spanish, meaning 2, 3 different things totally. So Tembo would mean an elephant, and it could also mean liquor. The tall boy, Brent Leo Smith, who might be going on leave after bushwalk, and he might to all of you.
Yes, indeed, I shall be going on leave after this drive. It's been wonderful being back on Djuma with all of you and sharing time with Tandy, Kalamba, Hosanna, the B-boys, the Evokers, the Oompa Loompas, aka the Nkahumas, who have been proper Oompa Loompas this morning and passed away from us into the neighbouring reserves. But that's the way it goes out here. Now, I'm sure you'll be in capable hands with Commander Bon, Steve, Ralph, and of course, David, who's doing a wonderful job and certainly enjoying his time here in South Africa. I'm hoping that I shall wet a line or 2 and do some fishing while I'm on leave. We might go to the Kalahari Desert. So Viam's also going to the Kalahari Desert on his leave. So who knows, maybe we'll see the wildebeest on the sand dunes of the Kalahari. And of course I'm meeting up with Jamie in a couple of days in Johannesburg, so that will be fun. And as always, it's also it's a bit of a mixed bag day, as some of you might have known. I'm going to Johannesburg with Rebecca, and she is leaving us. She's moving to Cape Town. So Bex, we love you dearly. We'll miss you, and you got to come back to visit. All of us at Safari Live will miss you dearly. Bye, Bex.